McElveen with Vapor Ministries, and I'm so glad that you piped on and were able to join us this morning. We are going to officially kick off in just a few minutes. So if there is anyone that you think would enjoy this conversation about leading through challenge, just go on and text them, or you can just push the share button and share this with some of your friends. But I just wanted to give you a preview about what we're going to talk about today. First of all, if you're not familiar with Vapor Ministries and what we're doing in some of the poorest places around the globe, I just would encourage you to look through our Facebook posts, our Instagram posts, and to our partners and those who are praying for us. Just thank you so much for helping us make a difference. We are continuing to serve the poor through services such as clean drinking water, just basic necessities being met. And during this challenging time, we're actually able to continue that work, but also amp it up. And a huge part of that is because of your generosity and your prayers. And thank you for being part of that. And so this morning, as we're getting ready to get started and talking about leading through challenging times, we just wanted to let you all know that as Vapor Ministries is leading through this, we have about 500 staff worldwide. So between our thrift stores, our headquarters, and our centers around the globe, there's about 500 staff and employees. And as we're trying to continue to lead leaders, and especially through challenge, we have amazing partners and board members who are speaking wisdom in. And so we are so thankful to have Shawn Lovejoy join us today. And he's just an amazing personal friend to Mike and I, but also he's a board member with Vapor Ministries, and he is the founder and leader of Courage to Lead. So couragetolead.com, you should check that out. But as he's helping us lead leaders through this time of challenge and pouring into us, we thought, why not invite our partners and people who are lifting us up in prayer to join in this conversation? Because I'm sure you're like myself, you're trying to lead through challenge in your own home, you're trying to lead through challenge maybe in the business you're working in or organization. Maybe you're at home trying to work, but all of us in some aspect are trying to, I think, lead through this. And so we hope it's beneficial to you as it's beneficial to us, as again, we are trying to lead our staff worldwide who are trying to lead in their own homes, but also lead during this time of extra need and extra challenges happening with the pandemic. And so once again, if you're just now joining us, thank you so much. I'm Audrey McElveen, Vapor Ministries, and I have the privilege to introduce my husband, Micah McElveen, who's going to host this VM conversation. And Micah, I just want to say thank you, and thank you, Shawn, for taking the time to open this conversation up to us. I am personally looking forward to it and what I have to glean from this conversation. So I'll just go on and hand it on over to you, Micah. And again, thank you. And I'm looking forward to learning on how to further lead through this challenge.
Micah McElveen here, Vapor Ministries. Love you, babe. That's my bride, my best friend, Audrey McElveen. For those of you that don't know, we get to work with Vapor Ministries. We're serving hundreds of thousands of people in some of the poorest places on planet Earth. As Audrey mentioned earlier, over 500 team members leading themselves and leading indigenously in communities where we're trying to change the dynamics of extreme poverty, how they're dominating people's lives. And so we're seeing the gospel advance, we're seeing the poor served, and it's my privilege to introduce a topic and our guest. So we are obviously leading through challenge, and we know you as individuals, as guests that have come online, you're all experiencing unique challenge in this pandemic as well. You have to lead yourselves, lead your families. Some of you own and operate businesses. So I think we all are sharing in different ways this reality of facing and having to navigate challenge. So it's my privilege today to get to introduce you to a friend and a partner, Shawn Lovejoy. He not only led and operated a very successful business, he felt God's call to lead and pioneer, start and raise up a church that became a mega church, leading through a lot of challenges in the Atlanta metro area, and then since God's call to lead leaders and established couragetolead.com, an entity that is designed to help leaders lead well, to gain the courage to lead well. And so he has stepped to the forefront in the middle of this pandemic, leading leaders of enterprises, churches, and helping them to become effective in leading through challenge. So, Shawn, love you, thankful for you. Thank you for your service to the kingdom at large and here at Vapor Ministries. Would you mind just introducing yourself to start off with and telling us a little bit about CourageToLead.com?
Hey, first of all, it's an honor to be with you. Second of all, if it's a contest, I love you more. And I'm looking forward to add value to leaders today. And you did a great job. You probably oversold it a little bit, but I refer to myself as a spiritual entrepreneur, and we talk about helping leaders and their teams grow healthier and grow faster. And it's more important than ever before that we be healthy, that our team is healthy. And I've told spiritual leaders and pastors for years, I'm all for the Great Commission, just not at the expense of the Great Commandment. The Great Commandment comes first, then the Great Commission. You first love God, love people, then you go out and you try to change the world. And if you get that reversed, you get in trouble, both personally and organizationally.
Well, so good. Those tuning in, something here for everyone, whether you're leading your children in your home, leading a company, leading a church. We're all required to self-lead in this time and help others move through this turbulent season, making a difference and ultimately being better on the backside. And so there's value for all of us here. So just want to quickly just encourage you. Will you share this with some friends? Just think real quick. Anybody in your network that you feel like would benefit from this? Will you invite them real quick? Just take a minute to do that, and we'll make sure that this is useful and helpful for you. Last thing I want to share before we dive in, or last request I'd have for you. We have people tuning in from around the globe right now. So if you wouldn't mind, just put in the comment box, just share name, location, and then a leadership question you have. So your name, where you're at right now in the world, and a leadership question you have. I'm going to be asking Shawn a few questions, but we're going to pipe in questions that you have where we have time, and we're going to ask that of Shawn. And so again, Shawn Lovejoy, CourageToLead.com, lover of Jesus, passionate leadership coach and developer of people, and our privilege to have you on today, Shawn. So we're going to dive right in. And before we talk about specifically leading through challenge, Shawn, I just want to ask, would you mind just speaking to the importance in any season of leadership? Like, why is leadership, us leading ourselves, leading others, why is leadership so important?
Well, first of all, it's important because every person is a leader. And you may have a lot of folks today, tuning in that don't consider themselves to be leaders. But I 100% agree with John Maxwell, who first said that leadership is influence. So if you have influence at home, at school, at work, at church, in your cul-de-sac, on Facebook, hello, you are a leader because you have influence. It's all a matter of how we leverage that influence for maximum impact. This also means regardless of title, the title doesn't necessarily make you the leader. It all depends on whether you have the influence or not. And sometimes, the person with the title does not have the most influence.
Great reminder for all of us. Great reminder for all of us. So, all right. So we're all leaders, and we're all leaders because we have influence. And so, Shawn, help us for a moment think about, all right, you move into a challenging period, a period that is, there's a new normal that starts to form. So why is it so important to increase your leadership focus when your world begins to swirl, or the world around you begins to swirl?
Well, we tell leaders all the time that we work with, Mike, in our coaching and their leadership teams, that there's a difference between managing people and leading people. First of all, I mean, if you lead a team at work or a team at home, I've never had a teenager say to me, "Hey, what I want to do is be managed more by mom and dad." I've never had a person, an employee of a company or a church say, hey, I'd like someone to manage me more. They don't want to be managed, but everybody does want to be led. They want to be invested into. They want to be developed. They want to be encouraged. They want to be inspired. They want to know what the vision is, what our direction is. And it's more important. The Bible says where there's no vision, people perish. So where there's no vision, things and people and relationships and organizations and churches die. So right now, like every leader has got to be an inspirational leader. That's what we got to do. That's how we've got to poise ourselves for such a time as this.
How do you, Shawn, where do you draw that inspiration when it feels like things around you are becoming uninspiring, if you will?
Well, another thing we tell leaders is that if you think about what we do on a daily basis, like 95% of what we do is not sexy. My wife's a stay-at-home mom. She's upstairs vacuuming floors. That's not fun or super spiritual. Most of what I do is not super sexy. It's back to 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 back video calls right now. And it's email and it's writing, which I've been doing since early this morning. It's not super sexy, but why I do what I do is what drives me. And if we forget why we're doing what we're doing, we'll eventually lose our passion. So as the leader, one of the things you've got to be doing in your family, in your organization, in your ministry, is reminding people why we're here, reminding them why we're doing what we're doing. And there needs to be a clear why. My family's quarantined right now. We've been quarantined for 7 weeks. All right. Not fun for 3 teenagers, but I'm consistently reminding them, hey, I have a 79-year-old father. Okay. My daughter's fiance's mother is in intensive chemo right now with no immunity system. Okay. Quarantining yourself is not fun, but why we're doing this makes it bearable and doable. And you can create a why and find a why in every situation, in every organization, in every team, in every network of relationships.
Wow, that's powerful, Shawn. So if I'm hearing you right, the why that gave life to the entity, the family, the purpose is key in leadership, leading well in view of the why in good times. And you have to actually ramp up that why, raise the bar on that vision, create more clarity around that vision in challenge. Is that a good understanding?
Yeah, I would just say, for Vapor Ministries, it's feeding children is one thing. That's almost the what. Okay. But we're creating spiritual leaders in other nations around the globe. That to me is even more attractive than feeding a leader or keeping them from starving or digging a well or teaching them soccer. No. The real why is like we're discipling and raising up spiritual leaders who are going to take over these nations one day and lead them differently because of our influence in them generations ago. And that's worth giving your life and your resources to.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, if you're just tuning in, we have special guest Shawn Lovejoy, Courage to Lead founder and CEO, passionate about Jesus, passionate about his kingdom, passionate about developing leaders that have the courage to lead in every season, but definitely now in a season of challenge. We've got folks tuned in right now, business leaders I see popping on from Greater Birmingham. We've got folks tuned in from West Africa, East Africa, Haiti. I see Katuka there from our center in Kawangware, Kenya. We've got folks, Pierre from Haiti. So this is a global community that we're on with right now. Shawn, thank you so much. And so Shawn has hit on the importance of leading well in every season, being inspiring, focusing not just on managing and leading. And then he helped elevate for us the importance of letting vision drive things, and then leading in view of the why during a challenging season. As we said earlier, if you have questions, please put on their name, where you're from, the question you'd like us to ask. I've got a couple more for you, Shawn, and I see we have some coming in. So, Shawn, what would you say are practical things you uniquely do to lead well in chaotic times. So you've talked about elevating vision, making sure that people understand the why, raising the view. Get into the details a little bit, kind of on a practical level. What are practical things leaders can focus on to lead well in chaotic times?
Well, if you think about it, you're a faith-based organization. I run a faith-based organization. I think so many Christian leaders, like we run our organizations and our teams the opposite of the way Jesus did. In the Gospels, like do a Bible study on all the times he's stiff-arming people and trying to get away from people. Actually stiff-arming the crowds to be with the leaders or to be alone some. And I think whoever invented the idea of an open door policy where you're always available to everybody was not a leader. And I think if you look more closely at Jesus's ministry, he spent about a third of his time alone. Now just think about that. He spent about a third of his time alone, working on his relationship with God, receiving the clear vision. Then he spent about a third of his time with his leaders. And then about the last third, he spent with the masses and the crowds and doing the work of the organization, of the ministry, of his calling, whatever. What do I see? Sort of backwards of that. We spend 90% of our time putting out fires, and we spend about 10% of our complete time alone, working on us, getting better, reading, developing, growing, receiving the vision from God and with our leaders. And so I encourage leaders to square all of that up and change our focus on a weekly basis so that we can lead out of the overflow of our lives. And if we show up to our leaders and we're fatigued and we're drained, it's not helpful.
Mm. Well, great reminder. And it kind of hits to that self-leadership, right, Shawn, that if we're not leading ourselves well, if we're not hearing from the Lord ourselves. So what are some of the best ways to develop yourself when there is more chaos than normal? There's just more noise in the system than normal. How do you fight that tension between being drawn into the fire that needs to be fought and still like honing your craft?
Yeah, I think right now is a really important time to lean into what replenishes you. I was raised on a farm, so my dad lives on a farm today, so I've spent more time on the farm. Thank God for daylight savings time, in the late afternoons, and I go fishing and go four-wheeling. That's therapy for me. So whatever it is that replenishes you, now is a great time to make sure that like daily, weekly, you are doing some things that replenish you. So whatever you do 5 or 6 days a week, don't do it 1 day a week. Whatever you do during the day, don't do it all night. Secondly, I tell leaders, it's better to rob your sleep than rob your family. So I know you practice this. I'm not naturally a morning person, but I'd frankly rather get up at 4:30 in the morning than have to work till 8 o'clock at night and neglect my kids, and my family. So when I have extra stuff to do, and it's crazy. I don't know about you, but I don't know what I did before COVID. Like I've been busier than ever. It's crazy. So I've had to get up actually earlier so I can quit every day, at or before 5 o'clock. And have a daily finish line, a weekly finish line, and replenish. Psychologists and scientists tell us that the pragmatic problem-solving part of your brain actually doesn't drain as rapidly as the creative, innovative side of your brain. So if you're overworking, you're literally robbing yourself of innovation and creative ability. You can still solve problems, put out fires. You're just not making things better. So it's literally better to have a daily finish line, a weekly finish line, retreat and replenish. When we engage, we're better, faster, stronger, smarter, more creative, and more innovative. That's encouraging to me. That gives me motivation to live this way.
It's almost counterintuitive, right? The noise is amplified, the need is greater, and we should engage it. But if we don't take time to sharpen the axe, then we'll be so dull and ineffective in engaging it. So such a powerful reminder. It seems like there's two types of people: those that run when issues come, and those run away, and then those that run towards it. And as a leader, as we're running towards it, we need to make sure that we don't throw off all those healthy rhythms that keep us effective. What a great reminder. I'm in from Kenya here. Well, first of all, Mike and Nicole, we see you from Colorado Springs. Thank you for popping on. Why don't you send us a question from Colorado Springs? We'd love to answer that online. One question coming in from Kenya. What are you reading right now, Shawn? What's the last book you read? What are you reading right now?
Here are my top two. I've got them right beside me. I'm reading The Making of a Leader, Recognizing the Lessons and Stages of Leadership Development, Robert Clinton from Fuller Seminary. And I'm reading one of my friend's mentors' books called The Confident Leader, Dan Reiland. I believe it's just come out. I got an early signed copy. It's called The Confident Leader. Obviously, it has a lot to do with courage to lead, the courage to lead. And then I just finished The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, where he labels the last chapter one of the foundational components of building an infinite game organization. The last chapter is called The Courage to Lead. Did you know that?
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah. He gave a shout out in his book. He didn't even realize it.
That's awesome. I heard him speak at the conference, last conference. I think we're both at it. Super powerful. Hey, another one I want to pipe in. It all fits in the same vein. I'm sorry for popping around just a little bit, but I want to get some questions from the globe. So one came in from a business leader in Birmingham, and he asked about how do you, if vision is essential and culture and vision is so important in leadership, how do you work to kind of change that if it's off during a challenging time?
Yeah, I think one of the most important credibility statements a leader can make is, I'm sorry. Can I tell you, I've blown it in my marriage a lot. I've been married 26 and a half years, and I have learned the power, the healing effect of just saying, hey, babe, I'm really sorry. I blew it. It's freeing. It's liberating. First of all, she knows I blew it. Same with my kids. They know when I blow it. Same with my team and my organization. So, for example, if I have fallen into the trap of managing rather than leading, and I've sucked the life out of everybody, managed them to death, rather than being a life-giving leader, one of the first things you need to do is go in and just say, hey, guys, you probably already know this, but I've kind of blown it. I've not been a consistent vision caster. I've not been an encourager. I've not been an inspirational person. I'm sorry. But guess what that enables us to do? Godly sorrow leads to repentance, leads to healing. So you say, but today is a new day. Today is different. And I'm going to get clearer about what our vision is. I'm going to keep reminding you of that. And as I get clearer, it's going to give me permission to hold you more accountable, to the vision. And that's just a reset. It's like rebooting your smartphone. We're resetting today, and we're upgrading, and we're going to get better today. Today is a new me, and today is a new you. And don't try to ease your way into it. Just draw a line in the sand. Take responsibility first and own your sin, and then say, now I need to hold you accountable to do this with me, and let's get better together.
So just coming straight on, being straight up, because they already see it, and saying, hey, some things
they already know.
They
already know. You'll get credibility. They just wonder if you're ever going to recognize it, or admit it. So why not just own it? Ask my kids, ask my wife, ask my team. I mean, how many times a week I apologize? And but it gives you credibility to come on the backside and, hey, I want to hold you accountable for owning your mistakes. I want you to say I'm sorry too, and I want you to commit to get better. And we're going to roll back and forth, living this way, on our team.
Awesome. A question coming in from Mike Davenport, business leader, actually turned our VP of operations. So you already hit on a common mistake in challenge. One common mistake is to leave your family behind. Another common mistake is to leave a rest rhythm behind. You talked about creating a finish line. Are there any other common mistakes that you see people making, specifically in seasons where, kind of things are chaotic? It's the tyranny of the urgent is real. Are there any other common mistakes for leaders to avoid?
Yeah, it's called busyness. Doing more will not make you more effective, and experience will not make you better. Most people don't have 30 years of experience. They have 2 years of experience repeated 15 times. So when you're managing, when you're working in it instead of working on it, and you're working on others instead of on yourself, you stop learning. I can't tell you how many executive leaders, Micah, I know this is not you because we've talked, but I meet so many executive leaders who say, well, I just don't have time to read. I'm just not a reader, or we don't really have professional development. We don't really do coaching, or I don't really think I need a coach. There's just a little bit of, pride goes before a fall, and I am constantly learning and growing all the time. And if you stop learning, you stop growing, sooner or later, your team, your organization will stop learning, stop growing. So one of the biggest mistakes I see leaders make is when it gets crazy, they stop learning, they stop growing, they work in it instead of on it and on me. And sooner or later, that'll catch up with you. So the busier you are, as Martin Luther said, I have so much to do today, I shall spend the first 2 hours in prayer.
Yeah.
I recognize the importance of God working on me before I go try to change the world. And it's really important for leaders to steward that. We talk about the voices you should be listening to. We need, I learned this from Lee Domain, our friend Lee Domain. You need downstream relationships, people you're investing into. You need mainstream relationships, your peers, your buddies, your friends, but you need upstream relationships, speaking into your life, people who are farther ahead than you are, developing you, growing you. I tell leaders all the time, if you're ever hearing me teach or coach and you're like, seems like I've heard that somewhere before, I guarantee you that's true. I've never had an original thought. Everything I know, I learned from someone else. And if you think about it, that's true for all of us. But if you're not exposing yourself to people who are farther ahead of you that know more than you, it cuts off that flow of new knowledge, new information, new innovation, new creativity, abilities to pivot, for such a time as this and all of that.
Yeah, so tempting to throw off the very things that actually helped get you to the place that you are today. When the tyranny of the urgent becomes real. As you were talking, I was thinking about our leadership teams working through Great by Choice right now, meeting 45 minutes every Wednesday to discuss that chapter and working through it. And there's a temptation for me to say, hey, you know what? We're going to set aside our leadership development study that's a weekly exercise during this time because we have so much to do. And it's a good reminder that in that case, we made the right decision to keep that development rhythm. So I'm going to take one more question, Shawn. We could do this all day. Great stuff. You're dropping dimes for us. You talked about this idea of making sure you don't throw off time given to essential spaces in your life, right? So this idea of you can't throw your family off, you can't throw personal time with God off. So the question is, how do you personally protect the time to make sure you're leading well in each category? What are some practical things that you do to personally guard that?
Well, I'm a systems person.
So.
Yeah, I'm a systems person, like you are. So the most important system you have in your life is your calendar and how you protect that and steward that. So I put myself on the calendar first. I don't feel guilty about that. That's what Jesus did. Mark chapter 1, verse 35. He withdrew to the wilderness and prayed by himself, as was his custom. So he got up early in the morning before anybody else and he worked on himself. He put that on the calendar first. That's where the tradition of the morning quiet time. And that's when I read and develop myself is early in the morning. Okay. Big believer, like the first 2-hour routine. Then we work with a lot of organizations to what we call restructure for growth and peace. You can have 15 people that relate to you, but you can manage 15 people. You can't invest and develop and meet with 15 people one-on-one. So we talk about building one pizza teams. I don't want more people reporting to me than can split a pizza, because that's about all I can develop. Okay. I can't develop 17 people at one time. You may be that good. I'm not that good. Okay. I can develop 3, 5 people. I can do that. So break down the organizational structure where everybody can do that. That way, only 3 to 5 people should be texting and calling me. There's a clear Moses and Jethro order there set into place, thousands of year old system, where leaders lead different sizes and scopes, but not everything gets to me. There's an order, and there are different tiers of leaders that are learning to solve problems. And my phone is not blowing up all the time. You've been around me. I mean, I'm a busy person. My phone doesn't blow up all the time. I've built order. I've built systems. Not everybody can get to me all the time, but the people that need me can get with me. And I'm never too busy to meet with my leaders. I'm disciplined and focused and prioritized in meeting with those people. They're going to make the biggest difference. And again, that's how Jesus changed the world. Worked pretty well for him. So why would we take a different approach?
If you don't lead, your day will run you, right? If you don't superimpose on the calendar, here's how I'm going to spend myself. So many amazing nuggets. We're going to post this and let people tune in later. We are rounding out our time together. We're ending here in a couple minutes. And so thank you so much for tuning in. Again, folks from around the globe, a truly global Facebook Live, our first VM conversation. Couple quick things I just want to share with everybody. We're going to be having David Platt, Dr. David Platt from Radical and McLean Bible Church. He'll be on May 7th on our Facebook Live. We'll also have Pastor Chris Hodges on, a date to be determined. Have a couple of my buddies from the Packers. They'll be joining with us, all talking about pertinent subjects that will be helpful to us. Shawn Lovejoy, couragetolead.com. Check him out. Make sure you follow him on Instagram at Shawn Lovejoy 1. Gain wisdom, advice. They've got a lot of content also on the webpage. You see that down in the comment bar. Also, I'd love to invite you to follow me at Micah McElveen, Micah McElveen at Instagram. I just got an Instagram account, bad mistake by me, like 2 months ago. So follow me on there. Follow at Vapor Ministries. So thankful for tuning in. Thank you, Shawn, for dropping those leadership dimes, the wisdom on us. We thank God for you. We thank God for Courage to Lead. I'm just going to let you close us out with a final charge.
Hey, I just say to you, I just champion you. You're one of what I call a top 1%er leaders, and it's why I serve on the board of Vapor Ministries, because I believe in you. I believe in Audrey a little more, frankly, but I believe in you. I believe in both of you guys, and everything rises and falls on leadership, and you're constantly focused on getting better. And if you get better, you'll get bigger, you'll grow. And secondly, Vapor Ministries is one of my whys. It replenishes me and energizes me to be focused on the world and investing in leaders around the world. So it's my honor to serve. And if you do the right things, most of us don't burn out because of physical fatigue. We burn out because of spiritual, emotional fatigue. So you have to nurture that vitality, that sense of life in your life. It's to pay attention to, be diligent about your own vitality. And I just say to you as leaders today, be diligent about that. Work on yourself. And if you get better, everyone and everything else will get better.
Well, this Facebook Live accomplished that for us. Thank you for working on us, sowing into us. We appreciate you, brother, and we're with you, and we're rooting for you. God bless you all, and thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you back May 7th with Dr. David Platt. Thank you for joining our first Vapor Ministries conversation. God bless.